On our wedding anniversary, I didn't wait for my wife to come home. Instead, I received a message informing me of our divorce. Let's get a divorce. Gu Jinsheng is back. I crossed my legs and said, kneel down and beg me, and I'll think about it. Are you kidding me? You were the one who wanted to get married, and now you're the one who wants a divorce. Are you dreaming? After receiving Jiang Nuanyuan's divorce notice, I didn't reply. I just silently threw the bouquet of flowers I had prepared for her into the trash can, and then removed the delicate but bland candles and Western food. These were all things she loved, but I never could. Perhaps she was anxious and hadn't received my reply, so Jiang Nuanyuan quickly returned. As soon as the door opened, a complex and pungent smell swept towards Jiang Nuanyuan. Her pampered face stiffened, and she frowned, raising her hand to cover her nose and mouth. But it wasn't really an unbearable smell. It was just stinky tofu, river snail rice noodles, and deep-fried small salted fish mixed together. After clearing away the exquisite dinner prepared for our wedding anniversary, I immediately ordered a bunch of strong-smelling takeout with my phone. Since marrying this delicate and elegant young lady, I hadn't enjoyed the small pleasures of ordinary people for a long time. It wasn't that I particularly liked these strong-smelling foods, but because Jiang Nuanyuan, this always pampered and powerful young lady, really disliked such smells. Yes, I did it on purpose. After adjusting for a while, Jiang Nuanyuan still frowned, but she finally lowered her hand, covering her nose and mouth. Lu Junsheng, let's get divorced. Without any pretense, I also didn't waste any words. Okay, but all the property, including the company, is mine. You leave with nothing. Jiang Nuanyuan's stiff face froze again. Why? Because you were the one who wanted to get married, and now you're the one who wants a divorce. We've been married for 10 years, and you've never agreed to have children. Were you waiting for your old flame? Am I just a dog to you? Except for the company, I can give you everything else. The company was originally left to me by my parents and has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with me, huh? If it weren't for me, her family's struggling company would have been gone long ago. But now, not to mention credit, I don't even get any hard work. Jiang Nuanyuan didn't give me a chance to refute. After saying that, she turned and left without looking back, just like always, walking away with a sulky face when things didn't go her way. But this time I wouldn't chase after her. Before noon the next day, a divorce agreement was sent to my phone. Upon closer inspection, it was indeed, as she said, everything except the company was mine, and she would also compensate me an additional $5 million. On the surface, it seemed quite fair, but wasn't my youth also valuable? 10 years ago, Jiang Nuanyuan's parents died unexpectedly, and her family's company faced a capital turnover problem, teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. That's when she started approaching me. Perhaps the daughter of a businessman is also a businessman. Rather than facing the risk of being completely devoured through marriage, I, the son of a nouveau riche, was easier to manipulate. I took all the money my family had worked hard to earn over the years, a total of $3 million, and used it as a bride price to marry her. She plunged headfirst into her business with this money. I have to admit, Jiang Nuanyuan is indeed very capable in business. She quickly revitalized the company, and I diligently played the role of her good husband, accompanying her to various events, socializing with all sorts of people, building relationships, and paving the way. Without me, Jiang Nuanyuan might not have gone bankrupt or been completely devoured, but she definitely wouldn't have her current status and position. Now that her old flame is back, she wants to dump me? Does she really think I'm an easy target? Since she dared to shit on my head first, then don't blame me for grabbing that shit and stuffing it in her mouth. Let's see who finds it more disgusting. Of course, I didn't waste my time last night. I immediately handed Jiang Nuanyuan a divorce agreement of my own, demanding that she leave with nothing, as usual. A day has passed, and Jiang Nuanyuan hasn't replied with a single word. Seriously, no one in the world is better at giving the silent treatment than she is, but this time, no one will indulge her. I picked up my phone and carefully composed a message. Jiang Nuanyuan, this is the last chance I'm giving you. Miss this opportunity, and you'll be entangled with me for the rest of your life. Even if you agree to leave with nothing later, I won't let you go. Don't regret it. This time, she didn't remain silent, but her reply was filled with coldness. "The company is mine. See you in court." Her words were dripping with disdain. Sure enough, 10 years of marriage couldn't change the fact that she looked down on me. How ridiculous! I gave her an inch, and she thinks she can take a mile. Since marrying Jiang Nuanyuan, she had arranged a position for me in the company, always one level below her, but I still had some authority. Since she looked down on me so much, I naturally couldn't let her have it too easy before going to court. I gave all the important employees under my command a paid vacation and sent them to various places around the world, such as Europe, America, and Australia, at my own expense. No, I haven't divorced Jiang Nuanyuan yet, so half the money for sending the employees on vacation is hers. Using her money to send her employees to the ends of the earth is truly killing two birds with one stone. I can't cause a big storm that will ruin the company, but thoroughly disgusting her is not a problem. Now that the employees are all taken care of, there's no way I'm going to work. Time for a nice rest. Eat, sleep, and repeat. This is the best way for ordinary people to spend their vacation. I haven't felt this good since marrying Jiang Nuanyuan. But good times don't last forever. After all, pulling such a stunt directly Jalvilla, the workaholic who didn't love to come home in the first place, and who came home even less after her old flame, Gu Jinsheng, returned. My wife, who used to come home once every 7 days, has now returned twice in just 3 days, thanks to my little trick. I'm too amazing. Lu Junsheng, are you crazy? Jiang Nuanyuan went straight to the bedroom, standing tall and looking down at me as I lay in bed, questioning me. I also followed her example and gave her the silent treatment, not saying anything and not even sparing her a glance as I continued playing with my phone. That person, she is arrogant, contemptuous of others, and always wears a calm and collected face, even when facing her own husband. After waiting for my response, Jiang Nuanyuan's calm face seemed to crack slightly. Turns out, even the person who always gives the silent treatment can't stand being on the receiving end. What exactly do you want? My offer is already very generous. The company is my family's. I can't give it to you. Yes, the company that I worked so hard to revitalize with you is your family's, and only I, the good-natured fool, am not your family's. I was too lazy to waste words with her and used the silent treatment that I learned from her to the fullest. I could clearly feel that she was getting more and more agitated. She probably realized that she couldn't maintain her elegance anymore. So she took a few deep breaths and then, just like in previous arguments, stormed out. How amusing. Does she think anyone will go out and chase after her? Leave if you want, just don't be embarrassed when you realize that no one is coming to coax you. Then it suddenly occurred to me that if I didn't coax her, there was still her old flame to do it. Damn it, I suddenly felt very unhappy and didn't want them to have a good time. While aimlessly scrolling through my phone, trying to figure out how to deal with those two lovebirds, I suddenly stumbled upon a photo from a past afternoon nap with Jiang Nuanyuan after we woke up. It's almost laughable, but in 10 years of marriage, besides our wedding photos, we don't have a single picture together. The few photos I have of her were taken on a whim. In the photo, Jiang Nuanyuan is wearing a black lace slip dress that faintly reveals her fair skin. Paired with her clean, gentle face, no man could resist being captivated. Back then, Gu Jinsheng hadn't returned yet. I wouldn't say Jiang Nuanyuan was overly enthusiastic about me, but at least she wasn't as indifferent as she is now. Recalling this, an idea struck me. My WeChat contacts included someone who added me out of the blue after Jiang Nuanyuan brought up divorce. It was all too obvious who it was, yet we hadn't exchanged a single greeting. So, I promptly posted that photo, which I'd forgotten when I even took on my moments, with the caption, "It's been a while since I've napped with my wife." Visible only to Gu Jinsheng. I wanted to see if he'd flip out. Even if he didn't, it's fine. Since it's only visible to him, I won't lose face. Turns out, I was wrong. Not even 3 minutes after the post went up, the kid couldn't sit still. "Can we meet?" I was baffled. Was he stalking me? But no worries, I wanted to see what this sugar daddy looked like. I always knew Jiang Nuanyuan had someone she'd been seeing since her student days, someone she'd loved for 5 years, but I'd never met him, nor did I need to, because Jiang Nuanyuan said she'd broken off cleanly with him and that I was the only one for her from now on. But who knew? I ended up meeting him anyway. Maybe it was prejudice, But Gu Jinsheng gave off the same vibe as Jiang Nuanyuan. You could tell he was a young master who'd been pampered since childhood. The best thing about dealing with this type of person is that they're always proper. You can't even start an argument, let alone a fight. I'd barely sat down before Gu Jinsheng started apologizing. I'm very sorry. I didn't know Nuanyuan was already married. I didn't mean to ruin your marriage. I'm really sorry. I was filled with question marks. So, the correct thing to do when you're unaware and apologetic isn't to leave immediately and never appear before me again. Instead, you asked me out for a friendly chat? After Gu Jinsheng finished his seemingly sincere apology, he launched into a lengthy account of how unforgettable and heartbreaking the 5 years he and Jiang Nuanyuan had from their student days were. It was so touching and romantic, as if the whole world should weep. But I was numb. What did he call me out here for? To listen to his earth-shattering love story, be moved by it, and then willingly give Jiang Nuanyuan up to him? I'm floored. I apologize for initially thinking he and Jiang Nuanyuan were alike. He's not even as decisive as Jiang Nuanyuan. Just out of basic politeness, I forced myself to listen for a while longer, but how could someone be so long-winded? After listening to Gu Jinsheng wallow in self-pity for who knows how long, my brain wasn't my own anymore. My eyes were starting to glaze over, and I was seeing my life flash before my eyes. It wasn't like Jiang Nuanyuan and I were deeply in love. Just as she approached me, my marriage to her was the result of weighing the pros and cons. My parents were uneducated working-class folks, but fate favored this couple who loved life. They actually built a thriving business from a small salted fish stall, allowing me to live a life of affluence. The business grew even better, sending me to a prestigious private school like those wealthy kids. It was there that I realized the gap between people isn't something that money alone can bridge. At school, the most common thing I heard was, a salted fish, even when flipped, is still a salted fish. It was at this time that Jiang Nuanyuan approached me. Her intentions couldn't have been more obvious, and I understood them all. But for me, it was an opportunity, a chance to cross social classes. I needed her connections to meet more diverse people, and she needed my family's money to save her family's assets. She was very sincere when she confessed to having an ex, but she also promised that it was all in the past, that everything had been cleanly severed, and she wanted to start over. With her well-behaved appearance and refined demeanor, she was well-liked by my parents. I have to admit, she was indeed charming. Before long, I fell in love with her. I naively started thinking that when mutual exploitation turned into mutual affection, it would be a win-win situation. After the wedding, I conscientiously did everything a good husband should. Jiang Nuanyuan was always detached and elegant from dating to marriage. There was nothing wrong with that. That was my impression of her. Not very talkative, introverted yet generous, aloof yet gentle. Even after being married for a long time, she always treated me the same way. I always thought it was just her personality. That's just the way she was. It wasn't until I helped her family's company recover at the celebration party, when everyone was tipsy, that her friends began reminiscing about the old days. It turned out that her ex was named Gu Jinsheng, a young master who was a perfect match for the young lady Jiang Nuanyuan. The Jiang Nuanyuan described by this group of almost drunk people was charming and delightful. Jiang Nuanyuan's appearance was indeed outstanding, which I, as her husband, knew, but I had never seen Jiang Nuanyuan being charming. I looked at Jiang Nuanyuan, and her slightly tipsy appearance clearly showed reluctance and unwillingness. So she and Gu Jinsheng really had a deep and unwavering love, a profound relationship. It turned out that I was the superfluous one with a bit of money who was blocking their path to love. It would be a lie to say I wasn't sad. The person sleeping next to me had been thinking about another man for so many years. I was being presumptuous. It turned out that she had only ever been using me. But it doesn't matter. You can't let petty romance hinder great things. If she doesn't love me, then she doesn't love me. Thanks to her social status, I've been able to interact with many diverse, capable, and positive entrepreneurs over the past few years. These are all things that I have indeed gained. I should thank Jiang Nuanyuan. As long as she gives me enough face in front of outsiders, I'm willing to return the same respect to her. After all, in this so-called high society, there are many couples who are outwardly respectful but secretly living separate lives. It felt like half an hour had passed, and Gu Jinsheng was still going on and on. I couldn't understand how a grown man could be so long-winded. He wasn't tired of talking, but I was tired of listening. Enough already. Who wants to hear their wife's love story with another man? I'm going to throw up. Hearing that, Gu Jinsheng froze. The elegance he'd been maintaining for so long almost shattered on the floor. Sure enough, these people just care about face and can't stand being called a third party. What a joke. If that's the case, he should just be honest and stay away. I heard that after Jiang Nuanyuan's family had problems, you immediately went abroad and disappeared without a trace. Now that she's recovered and become the star she once was, you've come back. Gu Gongzi, you really know how to pick your moments. Are you saying all this because you want me to give Jiang Nuanyuan to you? That's not what I meant. There are reasons. After holding it in for a long time, Gu Jinsheng only managed to stammer out a half-sentence that lacked any conviction. I really didn't want to listen to his half-hour of nonsense anymore, so I interrupted him, saying, "No reason justifies you coming back now to reap the rewards. When the woman was in trouble, you dusted yourself off and left. Now that she's endured all the hardships, you've come back. I'll be blunt, you're an embarrassment to men." I felt disgusted continuing to sit face-to-face with Gu Jinsheng. After saying my piece, I got up and left. Gu Jinsheng probably did have reasons for leaving. If he voiced those reasons, the Jiang Nuanyuan who cared for him would surely believe him. But in my opinion, it was all so laughable. If Jiang Nuanyuan had overcome her difficulties alone, I would have felt sorry for her being such a foolish girl. But that wasn't the case. I was the one who accompanied her through those difficulties. But now Jiang Nuanyuan's heart is connected to Gu Jinsheng, and they even want me to help them. That's not how things work. What's mine is mine, and I won't let go of any of it. Soon, I receive a lawyer's letter from Jiang Nuanyuan. She was suing for divorce. I forwarded it to my lawyer, Zhang Wei. I could almost see the troubled expression on Zhang Wei's face through the screen. The wife's proposed division of property is actually very reasonable. On the other hand, your desire to have her leave with nothing is almost impossible. Even if there's evidence of her infidelity, it'll be difficult because leaving with nothing isn't a legal concept. Okay, I was originally hoping for something simpler. Since Jiang Nuanyuan is being ungrateful, don't blame me for being unjust. Then I won't get a divorce. Zhang Wei, with his professional team, didn't waste any time and immediately replied, "If you don't get a divorce, your chances of winning are very high. After all, our country's laws are most reluctant to grant divorce cases. Divorce is only granted for bigamy, cohabitation with others, domestic violence, abuse or abandonment of family members, or other major faults. As the party without fault, as long as you don't want a divorce, it will definitely not be granted for 3 to 5 years. That's great. I was originally thinking of being magnanimous, beating Jiang Nuanyuan back to her original form, and then fulfilling her and Gu Jinsheng's profound love. But unfortunately, I can only wish them strength from afar now. As expected, after going to court, Lawyer Zhang was so passionate, using all the eloquence he had learned in his life, conveying my love for Jiang Nuanyuan. The judge was even on the verge of being moved to tears. The divorce lawsuit was unsurprisingly rejected. Imagining Jiang Nuanyuan's elegant little face turning green, I almost laughed out loud. But who knew that Gu Jinsheng would lose his composure even before Jiang Nuanyuan, sending me a message. "Mr. Lu Junsheng, I really didn't mean to ruin your marriage, but Nuanyuan doesn't love you anymore. What's the point of you forcing her to stay? Mr. Gu, don't put the hat of stealing someone's love on me without any explanation. I'm not forcing Jiang Nuanyuan to stay. I clearly gave her the opportunity to divorce. Since you two love each other so much, you should persuade Jiang Nuanyuan to agree to leave with nothing and quickly divorce me, and then marry you. But why haven't you done that? Admit it. Gu Jinsheng, you just can't stand her when she has nothing. If she really left with nothing, you would abandon her again, just like you abandoned her when her family fell from grace." I have to say, Gu Jinsheng, this so-called upper-class elite, is really hypocritical, wanting both substantial benefits and a false sense of face. After his thoughts were exposed, he didn't leave a single word, only leaving me with a red exclamation mark. Never in my life have I seen a man as petty as Gu Jinsheng. I almost feel sorry for Jiang Nuanyuan, who spent 10 years married to him. What was she thinking? But my sympathy was premature. That very night, Jiang Nuanyuan came storming back, her fury explosive. She was shouting and screaming like a madwoman, even getting physical. To me, Jiang Nuanyuan is small and skinny, so whether she hits me or not makes little difference. She couldn't hurt me in the slightest, but she still delivered quite a shock. This was the first time I'd ever seen Jiang Nuanyuan this unhinged. I can imagine Gu Jinsheng adding plenty of fuel to the fire, but I never expected Jiang Nuanyuan to lose all composure and throw such a tantrum at me. That shattered the last of my illusions about her being refined, elegant, and beautiful. I was a little sorry before that my pretty wife had such poor taste in men and cheated on me. But now, forget it, I wouldn't want a madwoman like that at any price. After dodging her for a night, I feel a growing sense of unease. Who knows what dirty tricks that pair of dogs will pull? I can't afford to mess with them. Time to leave and lie low. I decided to go to Australia. Traveling without worrying about work or money is pure bliss. Thank you, past self, for working hard these last few years. If there's anything that still annoys me, it's the fact that money is transferred out of my account every now and then. It's obvious that Jiang Nuanyuan is transferring it to Gu Jinsheng. I wonder, did Gu Jinsheng's family fortune fall apart or something? Isn't he just being a kept man? I wouldn't mind him being a kept man if that was all there was to it, but Jiang Nuanyuan and I aren't divorced yet, and since she's the one who cheated, she should leave with nothing. That means all the money she's giving to Gu Jinsheng is mine. Damn it. I was so angry that I immediately sued Jiang Nuanyuan for illegally transferring marital property and demanded that her account be frozen. A couple of months passed in back-and-forth exchanges, and Lawyer Zhang brought me the news that I had won the lawsuit regarding the transfer of marital property. Gu Jinsheng spat out every penny he had received. Great news! It goes well with the blue sky and white clouds here. Although Jiang Nuanyuan can still apply to unfreeze the account later, it will be enough to keep her busy for a while. 6 months passed in the blink of an eye, and it was time to file for divorce again. Jiang Nuanyuan didn't waste a single day and sued again. Are you still not planning to get a divorce? Lawyer Zhang asked me. I replied, no divorce. Of course, I can't get a divorce unless Jiang Nuanyuan agrees to leave with nothing. But since we've already completely torn our faces, we may really only have the option of fighting to the end. We'll see who can outlast whom. Winning the second divorce lawsuit won't be as easy as the first time. I have to go back and defend myself in person. When I saw Jiang Nuanyuan in court, I almost didn't recognize her at first glance. She looked much more haggard. Her fair, egg-like face had dark circles under her eyes, but the most obvious thing was her pregnant belly. Disgusting. I'd inquired a few days ago and learned that the company had been quite unsuccessful in recent months. They were in a state of utter disarray when the account was frozen. Of course, this was mostly my doing. I looked toward the audience seats. Gu Jinsheng was indeed there. Compared to Jiang Nuanyuan, he hadn't changed much. He still had that refined, luxurious feel of a pampered man. Even more disgusting, Jiang Nuanyuan really has terrible taste. It's her own fault for turning herself into this. She deserves to suffer my ruthlessness for making me feel so disgusted. The trial hasn't even started yet, and I can already feel their impatience. Well, looking at Jiang Nuanyuan's belly, she must be at least 5 months along. If they can't get divorced now and have to wait another 6 months to sue again, they can afford to wait, but the baby in her belly can't. They deserve it. It's just too disgusting. The lawyer they hired this time seemed pretty expensive, spitting out arguments one after another. I had to admit they were quite logical and well-supported, but even if he talked until he was blue in the face, it wouldn't matter. To prepare for the divorce lawsuit, I've been cramming the civil code for the past 6 months on top of just having fun. Although my situation with Jiang Nuanyuan was rather complicated, the court needed proof that the marital relationship had indeed broken down to grant a divorce. After giving myself a pep talk like I was a child, I opened my mouth. I don't want a divorce. I haven't committed any fundamental marital errors. She's even pregnant with my child. I won't get a divorce. The moment I said this, everyone was a bit stunned, whether it was Jiang Nuanyuan, Gu Jinsheng, or even my lawyer. Zhang Wei. Jiang Nuanyuan couldn't hold it together any longer, blurting out something that proved her affair. That's a lie. The child isn't his. She froze after the words left her mouth, since preserving her image was her top priority. As for me, I forced myself to suppress my disgust and vehemently retorted that the child was mine. Jiang Nuanyuan was once again driven to the edge by me, arguing at the top of her lungs that the child wasn't mine. Both of our lawyers couldn't get a word in, and the scene momentarily turned into a shouting match. The onlookers were dumbfounded, who would passionately try to prove their own affair. But even more outrageous was the fact that the cuckolded party was insisting on claiming the bastard child as his own. Yet, all of this was unfolding before their very eyes. Truly an eye-opening experience. Sigh, it's not like I don't think claiming a bastard child as my own is absurd, but I've already done too many things that hurt me as much as they hurt the other party. What's one more? I wasn't arguing over steam buns, but over pride, agreeing to a divorce, and splitting my assets with those two lovebirds? Absolutely not. After a series of gavel bangs, followed by a booming order, my confrontation with Jiang Nuanyuan and the whispers from the audience seats immediately ceased. The judge demanded that the plaintiff produce DNA evidence proving that the child wasn't the defendant's. Of course, Jiang Nuanyuan couldn't provide it. Even if she were a genius, she couldn't have predicted this move from me. So, the divorce didn't go through. Jiang Nuanyuan's lawyer did everything possible to get a trial postponement, so she could gather evidence of her own affair. Utterly ridiculous. Although disgusting, it was still a victory of sorts. I left the courthouse with a cheerful air, but Jiang Nuanyuan stopped me. Lu Junsheng, you're ruthless, Jiang Nuanyuan said, biting her lip, looking extremely unwilling. I agreed to leave with nothing, okay. It seemed she had finally reached her breaking point. If things continued like this, her child would become an illegitimate one, and the thing her circle detested the most was illegitimate children. Gu Jinsheng, who was walking toward Jiang Nuanyuan from behind, clearly paused when he heard her agree to leave with nothing. I sneered. Giving up already? But have you forgotten what I said? Jiang Nuanyuan, this is the last chance I'm giving you. Miss this village, and you'll be stuck with me for life. Even if you agree to leave with nothing later, I won't let you go. Don't regret it. Jiang Nuanyuan's face finally twisted completely. Gu Jinsheng, who was standing a bit further away, also wore an equally colorful expression. Jiang Nuanyuan was the first to crack, and she started cursing again. It was just that this pampered young lady's cursing skills were rather lacking. All she could say, over and over, were beast and madman, with absolutely no bite whatsoever. Gu Jinsheng probably felt ashamed and slipped into the crowd unnoticed, while I turned and left amidst this scratching and itch-like cursing. Let her go crazy. The crazier she gets, the better I feel on the drive back, Zhang Wei asked me. Mr. Liu, if I may be so bold as to ask a personal question, since the woman has already agreed to leave with nothing, why are you still not planning to get a divorce? Not divorcing. Now that she's carrying a child, it's even more impossible for her to win against me. I'm going to wear her down. Attorney Zhang didn't respond, and the atmosphere became silent. Although Attorney Zhang's tone was already very careful, I could still tell that he probably felt a bit of sympathy for Jiang Nuanyuan. Well, someone who can only see the surface would naturally feel pity for Jiang Nuanyuan, who is completely on the weaker side at this moment. That's a normal reaction for a normal person. But everyone has their limits. If Jiang Nuanyuan had just honestly apologized from the beginning, properly made amends to me, and obediently agreed to leave with nothing, none of this would have happened. But Jiang Nuanyuan insisted on provoking me and betraying me, so she should just bear my anger. It's still far from enough in these past few years. Besides earnestly being her good husband, I haven't neglected my career either. I know that Jiang Nuanyuan's company isn't very clean. It's time to find someone to investigate the accounts. Before long, thanks to my relentless efforts, Jiang Nuanyuan was on the verge of bankruptcy again. This is her original state. I can help her be reborn, and I can also knock her back to her original form. As for the divorce lawsuit, Jiang Nuanyuan really did a DNA test to prove that the child wasn't mine, but I still claim that I deeply loved her and that the marital relationship hadn't completely broken down. In the end, the court still ruled against her. Too happy, I'll order a bowl of river snail, rice noodles to celebrate. Compared to champagne and steak, peasant food is indeed the most suitable for me. But just as I was enthusiastically slurping my noodles, the person who left me a red exclamation point came to add me again. How unlucky, but I was curious about what he wanted, so I accepted the request. He said, Nguyen belly is already very big. Just let her go. Okay, the company is the only thing her parents left her. Can I voluntarily withdraw? Just live a good life with her. I was filled with question marks, a section of noodles that I had already sucked and slid back into the soup. This guy is a fighter jet among jerks, a VIP among idiots, right? I suppressed the nausea that caused my fingers to tremble and replied to him, Are you joking? Her belly is very big. And then you withdraw and return her to me. Is that what you mean? Are you playing buy one, get one free? Give one Jiang Nguyen and get one of your seeds. I was really about to laugh out of anger. Gu Jinqing probably thought that I didn't agree to a divorce because I really loved Jiang Nguyen deeply, and he regarded me as a top-tier simp. The status showed typing for a long time, but no message was sent. I was too lazy to argue with him, so I preemptively sent, You and Jiang Nguyen, one brain dead, one moron, a perfect match. You must never separate. Lock it up, blessings. After sending it, I immediately gave Gu Jinqing a red exclamation point. Having the contact information of such a moron in my phone is a disgrace. Before I could even catch my breath, I received a call from the hospital again. At first, I thought she was about to give birth and needed to find me her legal husband, but who knew she had been hit by a car. When I arrived at the hospital, Jiang Nguyen was being sent to the ICU. Gu Jinqing was also there, and his disheveled appearance was quite amusing. In the midst of the chaos, I pieced together what had happened. The company went bankrupt, the divorce couldn't be finalized, and Gu Jinqing and Jiang Nguyen were constantly fighting. Even on the way to the hospital for her checkup, they were arguing incessantly. Gu Jinqing, who was driving, had his attention diverted by Jiang Nguyen, improper driving, loved ones shedding tears. I was pulled into the office. The doctor said, The baby in the patient's womb cannot be saved, and the patient's own condition is also very serious. She needs immediate surgery. The doctor babbled about a series of matters. Simply translated, the surgery has a high risk, high cost, and low survival rate. And then he told me to sign the consent form as soon as possible if I agreed to the surgery. No saving her. I give up. This time, I was truly happy from the bottom of my heart. Dragging out the divorce, I could wear her down, but I would also suffer losses. But who knew that now God wanted to help me take her away? How could I waste God's kindness? The moment I signed the Do Not Resuscitate order, I felt relieved, refreshed, and had a sense of rebirth. After Jiang Nguyen died, as her husband, all the property was naturally mine, and the adulterer didn't get a penny. But I'm a sentimental person. I have another gift to give to Gu Jinqing. After some time, after Jiang Nguyen's body was cremated, I met Gu Jinqing. Actually, I didn't want to see him, but there was no other way because I hadn't given him the gift yet. Gu Jinqing obviously didn't want to see me either. He said fiercely, Nguyen is already dead. Won't you let me go? The way you say that makes it sound like I'm a heinous criminal. I'm here to give you a gift. I handed out the white porcelain urn in my hand. Take it. This is Jiang Nguyen's ashes. A woman was willing to die for you. So you should be secretly happy. Regardless of how wonderful Gu Jinqing's expression was, I turned and left in a dashing manner. In the future, with money and leisure, I will only live better and better.